Hello again, everyone. It is the finals of the Ballistix tournament, Ballistix Brawl. It is the first one of its kind in a 10-week series of all open cups, and then 2 weeks of playoffs for another $5,000. Today on the line, 300 for first, 200 for second, and it is a best of 5. In the top right, just defeating Gumiho, it is the Teal Zerg Solar.
And his opponent spawning on the bottom left-hand side of Proxima Station, Ladder Edition. And it's the blue Protoss player, Super. They would be both blue colors. This is just going to be great. Cannot wait. See two blue blobs in the middle of the map fighting out.
Well, I mean, if they're different races, I ain't gonna complain. Same race, could have coordinated.
That'd be a little bit rough. And then they spawn on opposite sides of the map to the way that their player tags are shown in the overlay, so it's just impossible. That would be true.
Oh well, that's just, I mean,
true terror.
Control Alt X or Control Shift X changes that, but.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
There you go. Yeah, that was something that I never really bothered me or I noticed up until maybe 2 years ago, and then I had to do it because everyone was like, change the names, blah blah blah, and. Then, since then, I actually had a couple of games where I was legitimately just, freaked out. I was like, wait a minute, the game's this, it's the same race, they're similar colors, but, they're not on the right, sides. GSO, please, SSO, please, come on, man. Yeah, it can happen, but we try and avoid the possibility. I think, I don't know what it is, but lately I feel like we haven't gotten caught in that binds lately. Of all the tournaments that I do over on Base Trade TV,
well, it's what colors really do that, though? I think it's you have light and dark blue, you have light and dark green, I think, too.
As far as the colors that you can choose in the lobby as opposed to the ones that you can choose in, your own custom settings, I think it is only the blue one. Because, pink and red really isn't that close.
No.
I guess that's another one. So, yeah, it is just the teal and the blue, and it seems to be especially impactful for, TBT and ZBZ. PvP, when does that even happen?
ZVZ, it's just you have the two arcs of Zerglings moving around each other, and you're I just don't know who's fighting what. It's just everything here is just kind of dying and stuff. So this is another PvZ. We've seen a lot of this matchup right now, so you guys should be very well versed, nigh experts on exactly what the potential, the possibilities are. However, this is Solar playing, so that means we're probably not going to see these Leenock Ling drops like were so prevalent in our first few series. So a very different style. We'll see how Solar plays it.
Yeah. So Super. Yeah, exactly. Solar's gonna have a different style than Leenock, and Super and Leenock, as I mentioned when in the series when we watched them, they seem to be on good terms talking. Although I guess Solar and Super also had a bit of discussion. So Super is coming in there and maybe knew Leenock a little bit better than the other Protosses, Classic and Hero. Will he know Solar as well? I don't know. Both as well as and to. English language, please.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I had that happen a little bit earlier. First game of the day was a little bit rough for me because I was just waking up and it's okay, well, let's try this new tournament thing. I'm trying to figure out how to get into lobby, this thing I just never have to do out here. And yeah, it was 8 o'clock in the morning, so having to get there. But I think now I'm in a good spot. The Bacchus is kicking in, so. We're good to go. So here we go. It is, in fact, somewhat ironically, a drop overlord full of Zerglings, as if they knew I had predicted it. That will be coming in here. So Solar's taking a little bit of a page out of Leenock's book. Forced to cancel on that pylon, so that's going to make the supply a little bit difficult to increase. And he's going to run all the way down into the natural, trying to pick off a few probes.
Yeah, no pylons over here, so it will be more complicated for Super to deal with. He also was holding on to his Warpins for the Warp Prism, spent the rest of his money on a third Nexus that was really, really quick. So I think because of those two things combined, loses 8 probes. Quite a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to watch out for these DTs, but their Spore's already up in the natural, so just really, really on-point play here for Solar. Anytime you can trade one Zergling for one probe, I mean, that's value right there.
So gonna warp in a couple more DTs. Solar not gonna catch this morphing, or it should. I mean, it should be 2 Archons at a time. They gotta, the buddy system, man. The Thor didn't have the buddy, and that's look what happened to him. Really? No second Archon? That's so surprising. Okay.
No, that's actually a little bit weird. So I guess one cool thing that you can do with this, if you do just want to get only one Archon, is that you can morph in 2 DTs at the same time, and it just takes so much to deal with one Archon that a lot of times that'll pull the queens or some Zerglings in one direction, and you can either like run by a Spore or get your DTs into a wacky situation, and then things just get all kinds of shenaniganry. But it is another Zergling drop coming in, this time an Immortal there to meet it. This will probably not be quite as effective. Finally, that Overlord will get taken out.
Yeah. Lings wanted to go to that natural again, but you know what? They don't get there. These Lings get into the third base, get on top of the single pylon, so just enough of them, barely alive, take on a couple of these probes.
Yeah, I'll see if they get any kills there. Okay, finally taking out a few of those probes. Whoa, oh my, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, this got out of hand a little bit. 10 probes? What?
Yeah, that like, I was with you too. I was like, well, the probes aren't taking that much damage yet. Oh, wait a second, nothing's killing the Lings, so I guess the probes die.
How many Zerglings was that? It was like 5, 6 Zerglings?
Yeah, I don't know at that point in time, but like overall, it's been 30 Lings lost for 18 probes, so that's an effective trade.
Damn.
The Overlord drop finally died, that's the good news.
That's just all kinds of impressive. And even back at home, Solar's been able to completely repel this Archon drop. That Archon actually almost died. It was down to just shields. And wow, able to pull that back just in time. So Solar, absolutely great position right now. He's ahead in workers, he's ahead in army, he's got that third base up and running. Might even think about a fourth here pretty soon. Gonna go ahead and break down the rocks that would lead to that fourth, and just really great spot to be in.
Yeah, it is. With that War Prism really not being a threat, although as I say, maybe, okay, no. It really is just time for him to explode in the macro after tearing down Super's macro. Now, Super tried his best to just, continue on with what he was doing. Got his charge, he got his +1, although it was a little bit later. And he does still have a good amount of probes at 63, just took him a while longer to get there. But yeah, Solar, as soon as that fourth base, puts down, yeah, okay, it's put down. Should just be all army from there on out, just waiting for those upgrades.
Indeed he is, and so he's going to be getting Baneling speed, Hydra speed, lots of speed everywhere, just like Ballistix Gaming RAM can speed up your gaming rig. Going back in this time with the Archon Zealot's charge is done, and pulling back immediately. Really love that recognition. There we go. Realization, whatever you want to call it, for Super. To say, hey, this is the danger zone. Time to get up my own fourth base and pull back to defend it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a smart move as well. He also manages to save the Warp Prism for another attempt at dealing damage. So far, not working out, but, there's always that one time, if you keep it alive, maybe it does it. But Super pulls back, saves the army, takes a fourth base. I mean, Solar is about to get maxed out here, I think. As soon as the Larva pops, he should be good to go, and he's going to have all of his upgrades, too. So this is still going to be a very scary point for Super. It's going to be down 50 supply overall, probably. But I like the way that he's been recovering from new probe losses. Pace of the game wasn't too thrown off. Trying to control the ramp as well, so that if he does see an attack, at least the force fields can buy a little bit more time. No.
I mean, this is just so much Zerg. There are Archons. If he puts those up in the front, that's a great way to deal with this a little bit preemptive force field. And I think the Archons actually knocked down a couple of them ahead of schedule, but tearing down these rocks, this is not something you're going to be able to defend. This choke is just a little bit too wide. DT's morphing more into more Archons. This is the composition that Super needs. He just might not have enough.
Yeah. Didn't really have enough force left, I think, to continue blocking that off, and unfortunately to take a lot of gruesome hits right there, but might still have enough. He's also invested into Blink Stalkers, so something that can actually, isn't going to just charge to its death like charge lots do. Yeah. They can concave, they can blink back, they can actually take a lot of hits from Banelings, and it's not as effective as a composition. It's not that beautiful Zealot with the Banelings or vice versa and everything else with the Archons and Immortals. The Stalkers are a bit of a mix-up.
Whoa, okay, well that was a little bit scary. It turns out Archons are pretty good, and the Immortals backing them up, of course. Great way to stop just this relatively low-tech army from pushing forward. No attempt at teching out of this, though. Just going to keep shoving as much Ling Bling Hydra into this Immortal Archon comp. Adding in those Blink Stalkers, like you said, I'm interested to see how the control will change the way that this engagement goes. Yeah. There's a lot more Zerg coming Super's way.
Yeah, unfortunately, the downside certainly about Stalkers is that if they are what's left behind protecting the Archons and Immortals, they get shredded by Hydras. So usually if they have +2 and are in higher numbers, that's not as much the case. but they're actually at 1-1, not +2. And there's just not that many of them, so.
Certainly are not. It looks like Solar is going to commit here. Nice force fields there, but they're not tight. And that's going to let all these mainlings roll on forward. Getting onto all of those Immortals in the back line. The Archons will drop in the front. It's only Immortals with some Zealots there to reinforce, but a huge concave. Solar might just have enough. There's more mainlings rolling in, and with the destruction of every single one of these Immortals, that's going to be it. GG Solar taking out Super.
Solar, clearly a very good player. Not playing so differently from Leenock, though. You know, Leenock Super also went 2-1, so it's not like Leenock was just straight up countered by Super or anything like that. But yeah, surprised. Like the Ling drop to the Ling Hydra bust, all felt actually very, very familiar as far as this tournament has gone. There's a lot of PVZs. Well, the next map still has to be chosen by. It's loser's pick, so by Super.
Sorry, I had my mic muted there. I was getting into my deep analysis. Just assume what I was going to say was pretty smart.
Okay.
I just said it was cool to see the Leenock Ling drops in the early part of that game. Be so effective. Got 8 Lings for 8 probes. If I can just figure out how to get into next game.
Well, it's not up yet. Usually they're pretty quick about telling me.
Yeah.
And Super's taking a sweet time, so.
I automatically just click the play again button. I'm like, nobody else in the lobby. GG, I win.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that is you know, the Spire is something that was missing. I guess if that was really going to be Leenock. Might see that from Solar, but I don't know. Leenock for me has always been such a Muta player. Like I don't think he's as identifiable as a Muta player anymore as the likes of like maybe it's like Scarlet still has that attached to her, but
yeah,
he back in the day, like he was the one going double Spire Mutas. He was like, of course, massy Mutas with everyone else, I guess, second Heart of the Swarm, and I actually really like Leenock and Mutas together. I think it's beautiful. Wow.
Okay. I mean, there are beautiful things in StarCraft. I never would actually look at a Mutalisk and consider that beautiful. I mean,
the control, man.
Mutas have like faces made for radio. That's not something I want to wake up to in the morning.
They have faces made to literally fling live, like, what are they called? Glaive worms.
Glaive worms,
out of
yeah.
the mouth, so, you know, that's not going to be a pretty picture. Just saying.
Oh, actually the most disgusting. Want to take this little bit of a downtime to remind everyone not only about the 16 gigabyte giveaway that we're doing for Ballistix RAM, which you can do right down below, but also just go ahead and follow the channel. It's a kind of a new channel for the StarCraft tournaments, our very first week, so we'd love to have all of you guys back here for each of our 10 weeks before we go into our big playoffs there at the end. I'm just really excited because a lot of the top tier Korean players are coming out for this tournament. It's just been really sick to watch them battle it out. We didn't even get to cast all of, like, from the round of 16 and the round of 8. We only got a chance to see a few of those matches, so quite possibly some even sicker games in there. So you guys don't want to miss out on that. Make sure to tweet it out, tell your friends, but make sure to follow the channel too. And come back here next week, same time, same channel, but brand new players and $500 on the line every week. So
yeah, it's really nice prize pool, and hopefully continue to get more and more players and more viewers. So we're getting into Ascension to Ire, Super's map choice. This feels comfortable on this map.
I don't blame you. We've been seeing a lot of this map. It's been added to all the map pools, GSL, SSL, and even here in the Ballistix Brawl. Very popular maps. If you have to pick something to learn, it's a good choice for it. Spawning in the upper right-hand corner, the grass. But also in the upper left-hand corner, this is going to be the Protoss player Super.
Grass and cement and rocks.
Yeah. You have to spawn all those things. Kind of weird to think about concrete spawning. But.
Yeah. In the bottom right, more with creep than concrete. It's the Teal Zerg Solar.
It's concrete.
Concrete. Oh, it's a clever. It's a they just.
I said a thing. No. All right. So, drone or probe rather coming out across, trying to get it here in time to block the natural. We've seen lots of Protoss players just be a little bit too slow to stop this hatchery from coming down, and indeed this is no exception. A probe could not speed his away across Ascension to Ire. fast enough to stop that hatchery from going down.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't seen a very effective pylon block in a long time. I've seen pylon blocks, but, to a Zerg player that just skipped to go to the third base anyways type deal.
Right.
It's been a while since I've seen someone be like, oh, I delayed my spawning pool. Oh, I delayed my hatchery. And just continue the ball rolling. It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, sometimes, I think we saw this yesterday in SSL, Zerg players will just send their drone automatically to the third base if they know they're up against a Protoss player who likes to send an early probe down to block the hatchery. So, not the case this time around, just throwing it down right ahead of that probe. And, this is a two-player map, so both players know exactly kind of the direction that they have to deal with. They know, maybe, hey, expand here instead of here. All those kind of thoughts being thunk. And scouting out the spawning pool timing, Super just knows exactly what's coming here, trying to keep that probe in there. But he's actually been really good about pulling the probe back and saving it instead of letting it die for free to the first few lings.
Yeah. So he should probably be pulling it back around now. He knew that until the spawning pool was done, he was safe. And in fact, even like a couple seconds beyond that. So the last second steals minerals. Yeah.
What a jerk. Yeah. Pro was just like, all right, I gotta leave, but not before taking your minerals with me. So.
Probes never as exciting as they were in Wings of Liberty. I honestly, as much as I want to give credit to, the Huck probe and the Huck micro and, all that, I honestly feel I don't think it's actually can be contended with. I think this is a fact that everyone's just a lot better 7 years later. I think that's, obvious even. But I also think, how many times we saw, Terrans lose, 5 SCVs to a probe because, pulling off the barracks was just, it didn't even exist in their mind. They were just like, well, it dies. I guess I just gotta, pull another one. Those are the days. When everyone was bad and, Fruit Dealer was winning GSL, I guess.
Man, I remember watching back in the early GSL Open seasons, you would just see, just the dumbest things work. I just can't even imagine. You send me back right now, my Platinum Terran player strats are just gonna wreck everyone. Fruit Dealer doesn't stand a chance. Knowing what I know.
He's super delayed 2 hatch with too low of a drone count. Just be demolished.
Go back if you guys want to trip down memory lane, or maybe you're just new to playing and never played in Wings of Liberty. Go back and watch the open seasons of GSL. Go watch Artosis play and some of these guys, Maka Prime. Those guys, the top tier of talent. We got a little bit to talk about those. These Zerglings will pressure the front. There are adepts blocking the wall, and that should be enough with the overcharge to stop any more damage. But no probes dropping just yet, but he doesn't know about all of these Zerglings coming up.
Dude, that was so dangerous. I feel like the Lings didn't take time to kill the adept. That might not have finished Warp Gate. So surprised they didn't, just put a single chrono on that for a little bit.
Yeah, that was actually dangerously close. We all know what that looks like. I got to see that yesterday. I think it was... wasn't Nightmare. I forget who it was. It was Nightmare playing in Corsair Cup yesterday. Who had his
Hurricane?
Hurricane, yeah, there we go.
I was Nightmare's I never played in an tournament.
Oh yeah. Hurricane. He had his chrono. He was going for a DT build, and he had his warp gate canceled. So we had to build a slow Dark Templar out of his gateway without warping it in. I'm like, that's just the saddest thing to watch.
Yeah.
So, in this case, Warp Gate does just barely finish in a different timeline.
Well, this is... Triple Forge? I don't think so. I was already questioning the Double Forge so flipping early, but Triple
Gotta get
Forge?
shields too, man. No one will ever see it coming. You try to take out your shields, you know exactly how much damage Okay, there we go.
I wanted to believe for a second because he has been so insistent about his upgrades. He was getting shield, but obviously 10 minutes later, it's 200 right off the bat, guys. It's not a very easy upgrade to get to, plus everything else. So that was just, not realizing he already had one at the front, I suppose. But I think this is actually out of his build order because you don't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, in most of his practice games, the Cyber Expert doesn't actually die. He doesn't have to replace it.
That was very scary. A lot of times you kind of miss out on this if you're just watching when things don't happen, is how close a lot of very, very terrible things are to happening. And that's kind of the difference between the semi-pro, if you're high masters or low grand masters, and the difference between that and these upper echelon of incredibly pro players. You lose that, you don't get Warp Gate, you're actually just so screwed for your early game. So,
yeah.
Yep. But he does get it. 3 bases up for the Protoss, 4th base on the way for our Zerg player Solar. We're going to take a little bit of a break to tech on up.
Yeah, it's the tech time. I do want to note, like, we actually talked a big game about the 7X core, but just, like, a little bit of a note. Solar losing the drop overload as quickly as he did really did help Super just, like, hold on and not let that snowball. So he dealt with that very well. The sacrifice of 7X core was not that bad because Warp Gate finished. You know, it's 150 just like a gateway, not too fast not too slow to replace, rather, and he didn't really need to warp in Stalkers, Adepts, or Sentries at that point in time.
Solar wants to move out with his Stalkers, but he can't get through the gap because the Zealot was on hold position, so unlucky. But a good blocking Zealot, that's for sure. So yeah, now defending the 3rd base, now that that's up, getting everything up and running, economy should be pretty even, considering that 4th base for Solar hasn't quite kicked in just yet. Yeah, Zerg player doesn't know exactly what's coming out here from the Protoss. It is going to be Templar Archives coming up and looking to maybe drop some of those. Zealot Charge on the way is +2/+2 as well. No more upgrades coming in for a Zerg player who's pumping out a bunch of Roach Ravager.
Yeah. You know, at 63 drones, that's actually okay on 4 bases. That's not so much a problem, but just that lack of advanced tech does feel very committed to me. No Hydralist End. This is something that's Super. He tried to scout, but it's always so hard to scout the lack of something. You have to scout like literally every part of the Zerg base, and well, his observer saw more so what he needed to see. But even with the knowledge his army was on the way, just simply did not have enough units to deal with it.
I think it's time, Zombie Grub, to look at the army supply. 31 to over 100. This Zerg Force is just so hard to deal with. Even canceling the warp in there on that pylon, taking it out. Corrosive Biles raining down and actually almost even taking out the Mothership Core. That's going to do it. Solar taking out Super.
Yeah. So 2-0 for Solar in the best of 5. I think, like, one of the weirdest thing about watching that, by the way, was that, okay, double upgrades are cool and everything, and, you know, Blink Stalkers can be good too, but there wasn't a single Immortal. I'm supposed to see at least, like, 1 or 2 Immortals against, like, a huge Roach army, but he just really didn't put a lot of emphasis on any, you know, robotics play. Maybe it saves him, maybe it doesn't. I think also just overwhelming numbers. It was always going to be a tough hold against such an attack.
Indeed, it was. That was the grease pig to all in. It's hard to hold.
Grease pig. Why are you greasing a pig? What farm? Why?
Yo, I grew up in the country. I've actually gone to fairs at points in my life, and that's a real like competition.
Yeah.
It's like a game. You like get prizes based on whether or not you're able to catch the pig. It's like, you know, people make fun of me for standing inside and playing StarCraft. I'm just like, you guys go out and get your vitamin D. If that's what it takes, I want no part of that. So, yeah. It was just an analogy.
No, but I really wondered, and then I remembered. I distinctly remember because living in Virginia, I guess people automatically assume that it's the South, when really Southern Virginia is the South and Northern Virginia isn't, but that's like a whole other thing.
I don't think North Virginia really counts as like...
It really doesn't. And even the South is like not that like Southern. But anyways, the point is like, but it still has a lot of the root communities that are just like very like typical like, you know, good old boy types. So there's like, you know, the fall festivals and the just like the stereotypical, I guess, festivals in the summer that have like, you know, farm activities as fun activities for kids, like free labor.
Farm activities. I had way too many of those in my life. I've blocked out many of those. Like, hey kids, come catch the horses. They escaped, so they're kind of just gonna run away from you. But this was fun, right? No, it's not. It's not fun.
I was thinking of like they'd actually make the kids like pull the hay, like the hay bales like up and like stack them. But like the kids thought it was so fun, right? And because they could also climb on it after. So they were just like, yeah, it's great. And I'm like, yeah, no, it is great. But it's also just you're doing my work for me. Because I also worked at a fall festival where that would happen. And I was like, one less thing to do.
All right. So we are about to get into what could be our final game of the night. It certainly seems like Solar really kind of has Super's number here. But Super does have this one last opportunity. Our final map, possibly final map, is going to be Odyssey.
Yeah, two of the bigger maps that certainly give Solar the opportunity not just to have like a macro game, like extended, you know, defender's advantage, but also just to have these sometimes wide open concaves, like thinking specifically over here or something like that. But we'll see how it goes. Super on the ropes, might be changing up his playstyle. And here he is in the top left as Blue Protoss. It is Super.
It's going to have to be almost not quite as maybe mediocrely Super after this series, Zombie Grove. His opponent down in the bottom right-hand corner of Odyssey is Solar. No stranger to making it to the finals of tournaments. To keep himself pretty calm. I wouldn't expect to see anything super crazy, but here comes that probe. This time, it will make it to the natural in time to stop the hatchery. It's so close. Oh, my goodness. Just inches away.
Yeah. If he had not stacked one of those drones, or two of those drones on the, closest minerals to the hatchery, maybe that's a different story.
Yeah, if you take it from the far side of your mineral line, maybe it doesn't make it there in time. So once again, I think this is something that like a lot of Zerg players started being susceptible to as you figure out your build orders. There's a period of time where Protoss players just blocked every hatchery and Zergs could only start it at the third base. But nowadays, at least in this tournament, it seems like our Zerg representatives done a pretty good job getting their natural up. And the same thing on the other side with the Nexus on the way for Super.
Yeah. Nexus after Gateway, probably the most common build you'll see. Safe. Still gets a Mothership Core pretty quickly, or can, I should say, because a lot of Protosses skip the Mothership Core. Although not the case so far in these games. Every single time I saw an Overlord drop, I was like, oh my god, did he just skip a Mothership Core? And it was like, nah, he has one. They've gone past that month or two where they just simply never got one.
I mean, there are parts where you can shave off little optimizations to your build and, cut a little bit of a corner here, but, like, just build a Mothership Core. Like, the number of games I've seen Protoss players lose because they can't overcharge, not good.
Yeah, I was super curious about this when I was studying one day, and I actually got 2 replays. I think one was like a vodcast, actually. Another one was an actual replay. And I looked. It was the same build, but the difference was one person skipped a Mothership Core, the other one didn't. And I was like, okay, let's see what this really affects. And, I mean, I might have missed something. It might have been like a missed macro, thing going on, but there wasn't like any all-in to throw them off. It was actually like the most ideal 2 games I could find. And it's like, it ended up being like the same thing, man. Like, by the time they had a third base, actually not even fully saturated, just a third base, it seemed like everything lined up anyway. So I always wondered why it was so worth it to skip.
Yeah, the probe, while we were talking about that, did a cool thing. It walked up to the gold base and just checked to see that it hadn't been taken yet. A lot of Zerg players have been doing this sneaky thing where they go for an early third and they take it at the gold base and they just don't get scouted, and then all of a sudden they have a gold base and you're just not gonna know about it for a long time. So did check for that. Love to see a little bit of an adaptation to a cool strat I've seen a few times. This is how we can tell that SOS isn't playing, because otherwise he would have taken both gold bases by now.
Hey. Just like an added note to that too, as we see Resident Glaives on the way, those the builds that I was talking about, was the Dark Shrine build at the height of its popularity, I suppose. That didn't seem to have much of a difference. But, notably, we talked about delaying Mothership Cores, and this is one of the games where delayed it after his tech, so Twilight Council, Chrono on the Resident Glaives. That probably is a major difference of timing. That or a Stargate, I think, is where you get the most benefit from skipping the Mothership Core, but it's getting a little too out there analytics. Point is, Mothership Cores they seem worth it most of the time.
Alright, I'm glad we've established this, so just in case there was any doubt, guys, get your Mothership Core. And useful talent to have. So pushing out with a few adepts, just gonna finally get a presence out on the map, something neither players really had this game. And always kind of interesting to me to see Protoss players keeping parity with Zerg expansions. Usually Zerg is supposed to either have an extra macro hatch or be a little bit ahead of that. But no, Super right on schedule. Third base coming up as he pushes out with these adepts.
Yeah. Hoping to get Solar to stop mining and droning for a little bit. He has a couple of units, but they were kind of all over the place, wondering where the attack was going to happen. In fact, the Lings just simply letting the roaches deal with things, go across the map, see if they can find, only a pylon, like a single pylon, or no pylon at the third base, or maybe an opening in the natural. Not going to happen, and that's really not a threatening amount of Lings either.
They're gonna surround the probe. Ooh, I would have reactionarily overcharged that pylon, but instead, seeing if he can pick it off. No, it does get overcharged. Lings are running back away, but in the meantime, all these adepts are gonna get cleaned up.
Yeah, easy peasy. The reinforcing Lings help keep him in place a little bit more too, and that was just a pretty perfect hold. Solar is going to go for a Spire. I mentioned, whether or not he would go for one, because that's what Lenok was doing, and this might just be similar to that game, that Lenok was able to surprise, I think it was Super, with a Spire, just like, Super going for the double upgrades, going for nothing but a ground army. He just lost to a Roach Ravager attack, so his thoughts are probably more to dealing with that than any air. Could be brutal.
Yeah, I saw a few predictions from our viewers early on about maybe even just never seeing a Spire this entire series. So it's cool that Solar is mixing it in here in what could be the final game. This might just be what catches Super off guard, and we've already seen what that looks like, to have no anti-air versus a bunch of Mutalisks. So this could be a very, very devastating push out here. Like you said, Super probably only thinking about dealing with Roach Ravager.
The Hallucinated Phoenix, maybe it gets lucky, but scouts the main. That's not where the tech is.
Will it be able to get taken out before it sees the Spire? Preemptive Bile coming down. Misses and kills the Zergling.
Well, there was an attempt. So, it does get the scout, and that is, even though it's the kind of the last-minute scout possible, it is important. That's having 6 Stalkers instead of 3. That's having 3 Stalkers and a cannon. That's just, barely enough, basically, to not let it snowball like it did with Lenok versus Super in the earlier series.
Yeah, that would have been very painful deja vu to have. And so as is, he's not going to be quite as overt with the mutas and just fly them in immediately because he knows the Spire got scouted. He will start to pool them up in the middle, keep them together, and use them to fend off any sort of warp gate or a warp prism. And indeed, there it is, warp prism getting taken out.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the more common way we see mutas is not a dedication to them, not anymore anyway, but rather just to be built to deal with warp prisms, especially if it's someone who likes double warp prism harassment. Get the mutas, deal with it, and then just continue on with Roach Hydra or Ling Hydra Baneling, which is what Solar's doing. He's not committing anymore. This wasn't a complete surprise where it snowballs, so he goes back into, well, actually it's Ling Baneling Roach, not Ling Hydra.
Okay, so just Roaches instead of Hydras. Won't have the ability to shoot up. But yeah, getting in here, still several probe kills capable from these mutas. And he will be able to unpower 3 gateways if he's able to just go ham on these pylons. Doesn't appear as if Super is really dealing with this right now. He's content to push out, and really this is great force fields keeping those Banelings and Lings off of his army.
Baneling speed is about to finish, so he's got to be very careful. Can't get overconfidence. Even right there, lose a couple of sentries just to slow Banelings. Finally deals with the mutas as well, and does keep his gateways powered for most of the time. But Solar dealt with that attack. Now he has Baneling speed. Now he has an upgrade. And
he's going for it now. We are, we're just going to see Solar click on the other side of the map and send basically everything there. Building 30 plus Zerglings all at the same time. Like you said, Baneling speed now done as well. Just a quick check on the upgrades. He is at +1, just now starting +2. I don't even know if that's an upgrade he'll ever get to use. Is everything buried across the map.
Yeah. No Archons to really truly soak it up. All he has are these Blink Stalkers, which, as I mentioned in the Proxima game, can soak better. Especially if they're in a concave and microed, but
here we oh, here we go. Zergling's buffering. Baneling's trying to come in from behind. There come the Biles. They'll break down all the force fields, and all of a sudden, another wall of force fields needs to be built. It is.
But I think that's... Oh, no. Okay, the 2 that are left over managed to be just enough, and he does have a couple more, so that ended up being a pretty perfect position for his army.
But all the probes going down there, over 20 will fall there, and there's just not enough force fields. Eventually, they will run out, and like you said, Zombie Grub, no Archons to buffer against this attack.
Yeah, it might have been a perfect position for the army to save itself, but it's supposed to be saving the economy, and it just could not do that. Now the force fields are gone. Solar does need to regroup a little bit, but he's going to tear down the Nexus that looks to things.
Oh, can he save it in time? Yeah, it looks like these Zerglings will get taken out. So Super, and I'm doing air double quotes right now, holds but he does lose a ton of workers. He's down to 44, and Protoss can't drop mules to come back.
Yeah. All right. The Nexus survives another day, and he does need it alive as he doesn't have a 4th base, and he is starting to run out of minerals in the main, so he needs a transfer somewhere, anywhere. Now has the ability to make Archons, but only a... Well, that's what he's banking is, in fact, gas. But will it be enough is the question more so. Like, sure, he was able to get 5 Archons. It's a decent number, but not much else along with them.
So Solar is going to be able to fall back to this +2 upgrade that we'll just now finish, but I really think these Archons being added into Super's army is just going to make it, well, Super, for lack of a better word. It always kind of confuses me every time I see Zerg players unwilling to fall back and hit the next tier of tech to deal with something. Solar wants to keep on the pressure, and he does have an absolute expletive ton of Zerglings here. So, I mean, maybe this is just enough. Maybe there aren't enough Archons, or maybe there are.
I don't know. This army is looking quite small. You need to be like, with a choke on his side, or maybe Solar trying to attack 2 places at once and fails one place. But when it comes to direct engagement, concave as well, Super might just get rolled over.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a choke, but it's only applicable to those, or not the oracles, the sentries. All the force fields getting taken out, and Zerg just running over Super's army. We want to take our attention and direct it to the supply. You can really see the true power of the Zerg Swarm. It will roll all over Super's army, and Solar will take a 3-0 victory in the grand finals of the very first Ballistix Brawl as our champion.
Nicely done. The start of the tournament, I thought that Lenok might have ZVP in the bag, but it turns out Super was at least able to take him out, so he gets 2nd place. But Solar, I guess, a whole new beast, just a more like a up-front style. I'm just gonna roll you over with roaches or banelings, either one, and Super just couldn't do much about it.
Wow, what a tournament. I actually really, really love this style. It's been a while since I've done an online tournament. I know this is the everyday life for you, Zombie Grub, but it's truly a privilege to be a part of this. So I hope everybody who watched today enjoyed the games. I'm not sure what we'll do about replays, so go ahead and check on that. But if you do want to watch more Ballistix Brawls, once again, make sure to follow the channel. Make sure to enter the 16 gigabyte Ballistix RAM giveaway right down below. And make sure to tell your friends and tune in next time, too. What'd you think of the first Ballistix Brawl, Zombie Grub?
I'm really glad with the turnouts. Great players, some decent games there, and maybe a few more Terrans. That's actually the weirdest thing about this tournament, is that usually Korea is dominated by Terrans, but they all wanted to sleep in, I guess.
Yeah, it is at a very early time over here, but yeah, guys like Byun getting eliminated, guys like Lenok not making it to the finals, or not Lenok, Gumiho not making it to the finals. So yeah, really great players, great games. Maybe next week, now that it's sort of the word is out there, we've had our first tournament, we'll get even more players, even more viewers. So I just want to give a big shout out to everybody who did come out and check out the tournament. Once again, if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear what you have to say. So you can make sure to head on over to Twitter at ZombieGrub or at CG Gaming and at Rapid Casting, and of course at Ballistix Gaming as well on Twitter. Share your feedback, and we'll do our best to provide you guys the sickest tournament that we absolutely can.
Yeah, exactly. So again, just thank you guys for watching. Please follow the channel. We're going to end the stream with a few ads, but don't forget there's also a giveaway and chats happening, and the return next week, same time, same place, same weekly tournaments. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.